Welcome to our 26th episode of the DMV Autocross Podcast. I'm Danny Kao.
And I'm Atta Tabesh. Thank you for joining us on our episode number 25. This is our last podcast of the year, and I can't believe that we actually did 26 podcasts. Do you have any takeaways from this experience, Danny?
That was a lot of contents that we have to come up with, and I'm glad we did it. It's time for me to pass on the torch to our next host, and we have an exclusive interview with him coming up. Personally, after 20 years of autocrossing, I'm going to step away from competitive stuff a bit and just enjoy driving. I want to go to racetracks that I haven't been before and drive fast before I'm too old. Going to Circuit Americas, Road America, and one lap will be my priority next year. And your plans, Atta?
I love your plans, Danny. Perfect plans, 10 out of 10 across the board. This year, as you know, and some of our listeners know, I did 11 new to me tracks. And that was a lot. That was a little bit much. So I'm going to be turning down next year a little bit, turning a little bit of the priorities to all these kids. And they're at the perfect age where we hang out and do the sports and do all that other stuff. And like many other autocrossers that you know, Danny, they take like this lull when the kids are like a certain age range, and then they come back. Like my favorite example is Bill Stockton, right? Like he comes back with a vengeance, and he's got Abby with him too. It's a fun combination. So I think I'm at the beginning of that, but I'm still going to be around. I'm still going to be attending events. I'm still going to be autocrossing, having fun. I'll definitely do maybe 1 or 2 new tracks this upcoming year that I haven't done before, but I can't keep at the pace that I was at this year. That was too much. So yeah, next year's going to be awesome though. We're going to have a lot of fun.
You got too many kids, that's why.
There's so many kids.
You got to keep your pants on, I tell you.
I tie them tight. I have a little chastity belt with like a master lock on it now, so we're good.
Well, let's hope so.
What was that movie with the chastity belt? I'm trying to remember.
The chastity belt movie?
What was it, like Princess Bride? I don't remember what it was.
Really?
Yeah, she was wearing this like metal underwear and it had a master lock on it. Like
maybe it's like Iron Man or something.
Yeah, it was like made of iron, right? Exactly.
That must be it. So this is our last episode. So now we can officially name this the Chastity Belt episode.
The Chastity Belt episode.
Hey, does the younger kids know what a chastity belt even is?
That's a good. It was Robin Hood Men in Tights. I just looked it up. That's what it was. That was a funny movie.
All right, so that was interesting. But we're moving on.
Chastity belts.
All right. So it is too early, but I know that most clubs are working diligently on their 2025 schedule. The rumor is the autocross clubs running at Summit Point are talking to each other so their schedules are coordinated to avoid multiple autocrosses at the same time. So we can attend all the events with the clubs and don't have to pick and choose like last year. Mm-hmm. We'll also find out soon enough if it happens. Early reports from WDCR is that they're planning up to 10 events for 2025, with a possible single event at the Northwest Stadium, which is the old FedEx Field, and a couple of events near Doswell, Virginia, near Kings Dominion.
Time. Did you just say there's going to be an event at FedEx Field next year?
Well, that's the rumor.
I'm there. I'm in.
Uh-oh. That's one out of the 2 that you're going to do.
I'm in.
Yeah. All right. So everybody wants FedEx Field back.
I wait to go back to FedEx Field, Danny.
Yeah, we'll see. But that's the rumor.
Okay.
I mean, it's not confirmed, right?
I love rumors. They're my favorites.
Well, as of this recording, I think the leaders of WDCR just sent some kind of a teaser.
Okay.
That their schedule is going to release soon. It's going to be the biggest ever. We'll find out.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So the exact schedule is still in the works, but it's going to look pretty exciting.
Okay. Very good. Very good. I do know that we have a very firm schedule from the WDCR Autocross School, which will be held on the Potomac pad at Summit Point. We've talked about it before on this podcast. We can't say it enough. It's amazing. Great experience. You learn a lot. Schedule is Level 1, April 5th, 2025. Level 2, April 6th, 2025. So that's back-to-back weekend. Test and Tune, April 19th, 2025. Then we skip to the summertime. Level 1, July 19th, 2025. Level 2, July 20th 2025. Again, that's a weekend. And then Test and Tune August 9th, 2025. So look for more announcements in future DMV Autocross podcasts and register early to hold your spots. These are the schools sell out like that, the Test and Tunes like that. Stay frosty, my friends.
That's right. Signed up early and often.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right. So for 2025, our expert unidentifying flying objectologist
No. Danny.
has been working hard to develop his new 20-foot weather drone.
No, Danny, no.
And give you the most accurate weather forecast ever. He's so good.
How is this a segment?
He's so good that not only he can launch 50 drones at the same time to examine East Coast weather.
Oh my God.
I think he also discovered Jaws at Amity Beach in New Jersey.
Amity Beach. That's the beach Jaws was first filmed
right.
at. Oh my God.
That's right.
I
That's
can't.
right. That's right.
I can't.
So without further ado, let's welcome one last time this year to our UFOologist and Addis gynecologist, of course, Alan Claffey.
He's a meteorologist.
Hey, did you know that Alan's drone fleets are all made by Mazda?
No, he does not have a fleet of drones. Like, what is happening?
22 footers.
That doesn't make sense.
Hey Danny, hey Ada, it's Alan, and I'm at the weather. Wait, I'm not at the weather terrace. I am actually in the middle of the forest. This is the Indian Head Rail Trail in beautiful Charles County, Maryland. We are here with a bike, getting a little exercise in on what might be the last really nice day of the entire 2024 year. It's a nice place to be, sunny and 60. It's like I picked the weather myself. There are very few things here to distract me from bringing you the weather, as opposed to if I were in my backyard where there is air conditioning and leaves to walk around in and dogs and neighbors mowing their lawns. Here I have nothing but a lot of air traffic. I can't do anything about that. Apologies to Danny, who has to fix the audio. He wants me to produce a weather forecast for the entirety of the 2025 season. Now, I can't even get next week right. He thinks I'm going to get next year right. That's not going to work. So, on that happy note, if he wants to know what I think the weather's going to be like for next year, I got it. It's going to be sunny and 75 every single day of the year. You're going to need a light jacket in the morning, maybe a hoodie. You might need a light jacket like this if you're biking in 60-degree weather. It's okay. I'm actually a little warm for today. I'm okay with that. But sunny and 70 every single day next year. The weekends, not a cloud in the sky, not a drop of rain. You heard me. No rain in the forecast, at least on weekends. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, it's going to rain every week. Let me think about this. When's XB running at Nationals next year? Thursday, Friday. Tuesday and Wednesday, rain every week this year. Here comes a guy on a bike. He's going to wonder what I'm doing here. I'm going to be a vlogger. We're going to kind of lay low here while this guy goes by, because I'm not quite done yet. And I want to give you more information. He's coming by in a little bit. Here, watch this. There he is. See, it's not just me out here. We're all taking advantage of this gorgeous weather, and it's not bad out. Oh, he's gonna go by in a minute, and then I can keep going again with this here. He's going much faster than I do. It's embarrassing if he actually caught me and passed me, because that almost never happens here. So where was I? Oh yeah, so sunny, 75. Rain only on Tuesday and Wednesdays if you're running those days at Nationals. Sorry, but that means Pro Solos, dry. Tours, dry. Mercedes Club, WDCR, PCA, dry. Except for New Jersey Pro. It always rains in New Jersey. And with that, I'm out of here. See you guys.
Thank you, Alan. Before we go to the interview of our next podcast host, let's go over the season champions of each club and celebrate our local DMV drivers this year. Before we do that, Mercedes Clubs does not award season championship winners, but nevertheless, all of us had a great time racing with the club this year. And thank you to Eric Legore and everyone at the Mercedes Club for a fun year. Okay, Dada, let's go over the season winners.
All right. All 6 autocross events for the WDCR Washington, D.C. region SCCA were held at Blue Crabs Stadium in Waldorf, Maryland this year. Bill Stockton built all the courses, and they were all excellent. Your 2024 season champions are... In SS, we have Patrick Gaffney. In AS, we have Craig Marhefka. BS goes to Logan Davis. CS goes to Jack Chrissy. DS, Gregory Sharp. ES, Cody Bromston. FS, Clyde Kaplan. GS, Dustin Grubbs. HS, Andres Rodriguez. SSC, Bill Stockton. STH, Mark Gange. STS, Stephen Courtney. STX, Matt Huffman. STR, Marcus Pine. STU, Sean Glazer. CSP, Tom Carroll. Now to some incredible classes. XA goes to Jeremy Hebbel. And XB goes to Alan Claffey. X classes. They're just amazing. Good job.
Also made by Mazda.
Also made by Mazda. Good job, Jeremy and Alan, specifically. XA and XB, the 2 best classes. Thank you. I'm not biased either. EVX goes to Martin Heisen. SSM goes to David Lane. Congratulations to all the winners. WDCR Banquet will be held on January 18th, 2025 at Dominion Raceway. And register soon. That registration's on Motorsports Reg, I believe.
Yeah, that is going on right now.
Awesome. Yep.
All right. So Chesapeake PCA had a great season at Bowie, Maryland this year, and the events will be relocated to Ripken Stadium next year. The season champions for the clubs are Class I, that's improved class, went to Damon Lowney. P1 went to Daryl Pope. P3 went to Fong Nguyen. P4 went to Greg Whitehead. P5's winner is Mark Miller. And their stocked 2 goes to Dan Mattis. S3 went to Michael Press. S4 went to Dan Ruddick. And S5 went to the dominating David Critcher. The fastest non-Porsche driver went to Matt Huffman. I was going to call him Matt Who, but...
Matt Who.
Yeah. There's Autocross Social was held on Saturday, December 14th, which went by. And, of course, congratulating to all the season winners.
All right. PCA Potomac had a successful 7-event season at Summit Point this year. The events were held on either Washington or Potomac pad. And the season class winners are S1, Brandon Jones. S2, Paul Brockman. S3, John Clay. S4, Kevin Keady. S5, Howard Lycan. P2, Patrick Kothe. P3, Fong Nugent. P4, Bill Conley. P5, Patrick Gaffney. Improved goes to Niels Johnson. And modified goes to Danny Kao. And guest
that was
goes...
a class of 1. So
Yeah, it's a class of 1. You were the only one, yeah. And
right.
Guest goes to John Vankovich. Congratulations to all the winners. Great job. And great job, Danny.
I was the slowest, but nobody ran against me.
Oh, my God.
That guy's too slow. All right. So Brandywine Motorsport Club competed 4 successful events at Ripken Stadium this year. Lots of fun and close battles for the class winners. The season champions are Super Straight went to Pat Gaffney. A Straight went to Dean Mohit. B Straight went to Alex Moramo. C Straight went to Leonard Roy. D Straight went to the unstoppable Ken Roller. E Street went to Don Craven. F Street went to David Fulton Howard. G Street went to Eric Dees. H Street went to Elizabeth Sharp. And then we have CSC. Not sure what CSC is, but it's probably one of the Cam style Mustangs, maybe. Okay, that's went to Wen Thompson. And then Cam C went to Carlton Griggs. Cam S went to Jeremy Neville. Cam T went to Dylan DeMayo. SSC went to Stephen Pack. EVX went to Gabe Mata. STU went to Anthony Martel. STR winner is Jen Fox. STX went to Chris DeVoe. STS went to Alexander Brook. STH, Philip Harmon. SSP, Jeremy Neville. And DSP, Vincent Rickard. SSM went to Mark McLaughlin. And Sam went to Jacob Carl. SMF went to Al Pacheco. XA went to Aaron Shute. XB went to Duke Welford. XP went to Marissa Whitmer.
Nice.
DP went to Douglas Emmon. EP went to David Carmen. AMOD went to Mike Creepy Moran. DMOD went to Kevin Turner. And FMOD went to Jacob Peltz. And your overall PAX champion for 2024 is Aaron Shue. And Ken Roller is second place. So welcome, congratulations to all the winners.
Can you remind me what class Aaron Shue runs in?
XA.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right.
That's you and I. Ada, you and I will be running.
Yes.
Even though we're not showing up at any events next year.
Okay, it's showing up as a state of mind. Okay.
Yes.
We are showing up in our minds, and we will go to some events.
FedEx Field.
NCC BMW CCA season counted 4 best events of each driver to determine the class winners. All BMW Club events were held at Summit Point. The winners are in S1, Rafael Garces, S2, Joe Breeding, T1, Christopher Moody, T2, Bob Hossman, T3, Charles Pompey, M, Brian Shipman, X1, John Letizano, X2, Joseph Eustares, X3, Anthony Peterlia. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering all these names. I'm the worst. X4, Jonathan Laro, Mini, Corey Brown, and Novice, Kyle Prudence. Congratulations to all the season champions for all the clubs. Great job, everyone.
Congratulations.
Great job. And if we didn't call your name, get faster so we can.
Yeah. Whoops.
Oopsie.
Yes. For our Feature of the Week segment, we'd like to cover an interesting, informative, or fun topic which could benefit all autocrossers. In this episode, we're happy to officially introduce you the new Chief Executive Officer for the DMV Autocross Podcast, Brian Garfield. Yay. So many of you have met Brian at autocrosses before. Brian has been autocrossing competitively for over 25 years. He has finished first, second, third, fourth, many times at the SCCA Solo Nationals and never finished last. He was the event chair for WDCR for many years. He has been in charge of the WDCR autocross schools for over 20 years and the school instructor over 2,000 students and counting. His father, Craig Garfield, was responsible to bring WDCR into a jumbled SCCA region. Brian's wife, Lisa, as well as his son, Julian, are both SCCA national champions. And the list goes on. So Ada and I are very, very fortunate and happy to pass the torch to the most knowledgeable host that we can hope for. And everybody, please welcome Brian Garfield.
Thank you very much, Danny. I appreciate it.
All right.
That's a very
Brian.
welcoming introduction. Some of it's a little bit of a lie. I've never finished first at nationals, but
yes, you did. You did that this year. What are you talking about?
Yes, I have a national win now. That's true.
That's right. So there's no. This is all true, man. We're accurate and informative. It's first, second, third, and fourth
Yeah.
many times. Yeah. So Ada is actually not here. He's somewhere in Philadelphia in some kind of, unfortunately, family procedures, which we're not going to discuss. But it's not his hemorrhoids. Otherwise, this will be like totally wild.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then, but also, I want to mention that we also have Dustin Grubbs. He will be co-hosting with Brian. And then in our previous discussion, Brian talked about that Dustin doesn't want to be on camera too often. So we're going to make a small, tiny circle and then put him on the top right corner or something like that.
Dustin will be kind of hanging over us watching as we go along.
That's right. Or open him in the bottom or throw him out.
He's fully committed to the technical side of it, and he's not quite as committed to the on-camera side. But he will be involved and giving his input. So we'll just see how much he wants to be on camera. But we've got a lot of things in store, mostly trying to follow in yours and footsteps. And I think the only major thing is we're gonna shorten it a little bit because neither Dustin nor I can talk like Danny can for that long, especially not Ata and Danny. But I will say,
you think I can talk? Ada can talk better than me.
I will say that people who have known me for a long time have probably known me to start talking a little bit less over the last 20 years. And I think you, Danny, have actually started talking more over the last 20 years since I've met you. So.
No, actually, I always talk a lot. But now there's just more material.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of material now.
so much more BS in the head now. So
All those years of
All right.
autocrossing have added up to a lot for you to chat about.
yeah, that's right. That's right. There's quite a few things. So just a little bit introduction for Dustin. So he's only finished nationals. He been to 3 nationals, right?
I think so.
I
3.
think
Yeah.
he's been to 3 nationals, but he finished in the top 3 all 3 years.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
which is somewhat incredible.
Yeah.
Right. But since he hasn't won one, so no big deal, whatever. That's why we give him a little smaller.
We give him a
cat,
smaller window.
sitting on the top corner. He's not like Brian, right? So, but anyway, both of them will be teamed up to produce the DMV Autocross podcast for next year.
Yep.
So Brian, even though we mentioned all that, I still want you to introduce yourself for the audience so that they hear straight from your mouth on your experience with autocrossing.
Sure.
So
Sure. I got
Go for it.
involved in 1999. It was actually something that both my parents used to do in the 60s. And I drove by an event one day in 99, shortly after my son Julian was born in that year. Or I'm sorry, he was about a year old at that point. And I saw the event. I called my dad on the phone. I said, "Is this what you used to do?" And he said, "Yeah." And I immediately got involved. A guy named Brian Burdett was one of the main locals at the time. I talked to him first, and then I got my parents back into it. And from about 99 until 2010, both my father and mother were involved. My wife and I were involved, and both our sons were involved at the time. In fact, 3 generations of us went to nationals in 08 and 09. And so I've been doing it since then. I started the school program in 2000, I think around 2000, 99 or 2000, 2001. I think it was probably 2001 and maybe 2002. And we've been doing the schools ever since then. I've been involved a little less lately just because of the type of car we run. Some of these local lots are not as good for our car as we'd like. But I'm still around all the time with the schools, and the schools are still happening all season long. So a lot of people meet me through that. But yeah.
yeah, so every year we definitely have 6 or 8 schools every year, just about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Including custom tunes.
It's
So
pretty consistent. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6, somewhere between 6 and 8 schools a season that we do.
yeah. So when you figure, even when you have 6 schools and you have 24 students, you get about 144 students,
Right.
per year.
Yeah,
Multiply that by 25 years now.
I hadn't done the math. Actually, I'd done the math a while ago when you mentioned the 2,000 and some students. The one thing that you might have forgotten about or missed was early on when the schools were extremely popular. I was doing weekday schools, and we did as many as 20 schools in a season for for probably 3 or 4 seasons. So yeah, there's definitely been a lot of students we've gone through.
So Brian's no strangers for a DMV autocross,
Definitely not.
Definitely a few thousand people.
And in
knows Brian.
those early years, and I think I mentioned it on an earlier podcast, I think it's episode 2, you guys talked to me, but in those early years, before I was involved with the schools and the region, this whole area, the DMV region was less, so it was more about what it is now, which is all these different clubs that are running a bunch of events, and it was called the Metropolitan Washington Council of Sports Car Clubs. And it was its own series, as I mentioned in that episode, so that there was a championship amongst all the clubs together that you were trying to win if you were competitive. So it's kind of gone full circle for me. It started that way when I was doing 25 or so regional events, just in the DMV area. And then it became more the SCCA events only because they became so big at FedEx Field. And I was purely focused on that. So we were always at FedEx Field or national events. And now it's, like I said, it's kind of come back full circle to where there's a lot of different clubs again running consistently. So that's a great thing that everybody's got this variety of events that they can go to.
Yeah. I mean, it would be interesting if all the clubs started coordinating together and have inter DC or Maryland, Virginia championship.
It's not hard to do. I mean, you just got to get the club chairs together and agree that you have to attend some of their events. And if you want to go for this particular championship, it's a little different because back then there were like 5 lots that we ran on. So we were always running someplace different. Whereas we're a little bit shorthanded on the lots. We probably got, actually, you include Bowie and Waldorf and Summit, 2 different lots at Summit. So yeah, I mean, you could kind of have the same thing.
Right. Because when you really think about it, there are 5 or 6 major clubs here, right? Mm-hmm. So if every club just designate one as the host of the championship series.
Yeah, you could have. You
don't have to do all 7 or whatever.
Right.
You just do one.
Right. Yeah.
And then you can get. Yeah.
In fact,
I don't think that's too hard to get to.
Several of the clubs that were in the MWC SEC were the SCCA was part of it.
Right.
The Porsche Club was part of it. The BMW Club was part of it. And then from there it was, and then Mercedes. I think Mercedes wasn't part of the council clubs then, but I know I ran some Mercedes events back then. I mentioned when I went to a Mercedes event for the first time in a long time. And that day I was there, I wasn't sure. I don't know if anybody's still there from when I went in 99, but I have video footage of when I went to a Mercedes event in 1999. It was at the Front Royal Airport. And it was the small airstrip. You pulled out onto it, you slalomed all the way down, you turned around, and then you actually floored it and went straight all the way down the airstrip. And they had a police officer with a radar gun that was clocking people to see how fast they could go. And that was the autocross. So
yeah. So what that means is the first time you did a Mercedes event, Lewis Hamilton just started go-karting.
Yeah, I guess so. In 99. Yeah.
Roughly. Or he probably was signed by Ron Dennis.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, that kind of gives everybody like a sense of how long Brian's been doing this. So then there's definitely going to be a lot of histories and things like that that we can talk about.
I look forward to not just sharing that. The big thing I want to get in touch with doing this, as you've done as well, is the novices, and either hearing from novices that have already started to run or hearing from people that have never even run and have a lot of questions. Because I think that's important to get people involved. And of course, we all love seeing new people out at these events.
Right. So let me go into some questions that I only wrote down a few questions for Brian. I didn't really prep them either. So I'm just going to fire them away, right? So the number one, just kind of a general feeling of what do you think the current state of the autocross scene in DMV? Obviously, you have 25 experiences 25 years ago that you can compare to. Was this now like 25 years ago, like you mentioned a little bit? I mean, do you see any improvements? Do you see any things that's a little bit different or so on?
I think naturally you're going to have improvements on the way the events are run, and you're still getting differences in how they're run. Now, I can't speak to a lot of the different events as recently. I've only been to a SCCA and then a Mercedes Club event very recently, and I'm aware of how the BMW and Porsche events are run. But like I said, we had the events, the lots were a little more spread out. But they're still running at Ripken. I mean, Brandywine is up at Ripken, and we don't have FedEx Field, or what's now Northwest Stadium, although that may be coming back. But a couple different lots at Summit. So I think it's very similar. I don't know that I would say there's any huge differences other than just time, and of course, lots are becoming a little bit harder to come by, but they've always been that way. I mean, we struggled back then, when we just had the Frederick Keys Stadium and we had Rosecroft. That parking lot started to turn into a rallycross parking lot. It was broken up so bad. And you just, right. Stones were always being kicked up and that sort of thing. So there are some advantages to now being some more solid lots, and we still have a bunch of clubs. I think we had a few more smaller clubs back then, like some of them were groups of friends and Mazda Club. Yeah. But I can't remember the name of the one club, but it was basically just a group of younger friends that all got together and got the budget together and kind of rented one of the lots and did.
Well, you have AI, you have CDC. Yeah. Those are no longer running.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, the clubs are still there, but it's just there's no events.
Yeah. So
and there's Corvette Club.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen the Corvette Club running next to the BWI, next to the go-kart place.
Yeah,
tiny.
And Corvette Club ran back then too, and Mazda Club. I remember they ran it at Lincoln Tech, which is a tiny parking lot. But
I ran Lincoln Tech at one of the Chesapeake event not too long ago. Was at Lincoln Tech.
Okay, wow. It's a really and that. Well, I will say that's one of the things that has changed pretty dramatically. Is I think there are still some clubs running at the much smaller lots. But most of the clubs are trying to run at larger lots when they can. I mean, obviously you can only do so much. But back then, I mean, between Frederick Keys and Rosecroft and Lincoln Tech, I mean, those are some small places. So
and we just lost Bowie, by the way.
Oh, did we? Wow. Wow, I didn't know that.
But Chesapeake is going to be running at Ripken instead.
Okay. Ripken's a nice usable lot. Hasn't really changed much in size, and we started running there. I want to say maybe 02, 03, 04, somewhere in there. And we lost that for a short time, and then that came back.
Yeah, schools there.
Yeah, we did schools there. We did some level 3s and test and tunes. When we tried to run a level 3, we ended up realizing that it wasn't much different than a level 2 school. So we backed out of that. But
I think the only level 3 school I did was over there.
Yeah, that was the only one. I think we only did once or twice, and that was it. And we realized that we were.
Yeah, I think I took one of the last ones. Yeah. But then the lots are still pretty much the same. But the issue is now you can no longer park in the regular lot. We used to run
at Ripken.
Lot. Yeah, at Ripken, and use the entire lot on the guess it's a northern side of the stadium, right? So now you have to grid, you have to paddock, you have to do everything in that same
lot.
spot.
Yeah, we used to park on the next lot over, then right up in front of the stadium.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah.
And then we can enjoy the entire lot,
Right.
but not anymore. Yeah. So it's a little bit small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're always looking around, and we're always trying to find good places. And I think we found a couple of new ones. And like I said, maybe we'll get back to Northwest Stadium, and I know the SCCA's got another one. It's a little further down 95, Doswell. So there's some other lots out there, and maybe we can use them. And then there's always traveling a little further if you need to Charlotte or to New Jersey or to Ohio or up into Pennsylvania somewhere and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So in the last year or two, what do you like the most about the local autocross scene now, like the DMV Autocross? Do you think, as far as competitiveness, compare with the national out there, what do you think we stand at this point?
I think it's very different now. When we were at FedEx Field and we were running 260, 270 competitors, we were running 260 or 270 competitors there. And it's hard to compete with that sort of competitiveness because that's more like a national event. So it's changed in that. I think just from what I've witnessed recently, the events tend to get a little more friendly because they're smaller and they're a little more intimate in that sense. But you do lose some of the competitiveness because you don't draw from too far away. We used to draw from Jersey and Pennsylvania and Richmond and even North Carolina to come to our local events at FedEx Field. So we're not going to see that as much these days. Maybe it'll come back. We'll see. But I also think maybe you get people that are more willing to travel, like in the case of like what I was saying before, going out to to someplace up in Pennsylvania or Ohio or New Jersey or North Carolina. You get people from Southern West Virginia that might come up or that sort of thing. So it's just different landscape. I don't think it's really better or worse for the DMV selection. I also feel like with the Facebook pages starting, of course, this is only, I guess, what's that, 16 years, which is a while now. But the point is now there's an autocross with DMV Autocross on Facebook.
That's just 1 year.
Yeah. That's a
crazy.
year or so. And you've got, 2,000 members. We didn't have that way to connect like we do now. And of course that applies to everybody and everything, their work and their hobbies and everything, and I remember when you used to look for a magazine that was very specific to your hobby, whether it be like modeling or racing or band or whatever it was tough to find that exact magazine. Now you just type in on Facebook, whatever that hobby is, and something's going to come up. And so now you've got all these people brand new that can find something right away and find out this information that we're able to get to them directly, where we never could before, unless they happen to read a magazine or that's why the SCCA for years was called the Secret Car Club of America, because nobody really knew what it was. And it's still, autocross is still not a big sport in the grand scheme of things, but now you have this venue to get a hold of everybody. And that's where I think we're seeing a lot more new growth than we ever would see before. I mean, I don't know if anybody's keeping track of it now, the number of new drivers, but I'm sure it's phenomenal in this area compared to what it was, say 10 or 15 years ago.
Right. I mean, before you used to want to find out autocross news, you have to read the pylon.
Yeah. There was like a little black and white.
I think 99.9% of the folks now, they don't even know what the pylon newspaper is.
And honestly, it took people, I'm trying to remember his name, John something or other. He passed away probably in the last few years, I think. But, it took people like that would actually put together a publication. I mean, the pylon, and then there was the Stopwatcher was our local one. Yeah. And again, this is, you go back far enough, you're going back to when the results for the race were mailed to you. I mean, that's how it was when I first started. Now it stopped.
My first events were mailed in registrations.
Yeah, mail in registrations.
Or I can fax to your dad.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, they were going to my parents' house because, my parents handled all the registrations for it. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. So
the only thing I haven't done is I haven't hand delivered
the
Grace house.
I think there's a couple of people. I want to say Yaroslav Bamraka was one of them because he lived in Ellicott City where my parents lived, and there were several times where they would dart over with a check to give them to make sure they could register for the events at the time.
Like midnight. It opens midnight.
Yep. Yeah.
Midnight Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
And people knocking on his door.
And the events would probably still be like that if there weren't so many. now there's so many that you can choose from. It's not, none of them are really going to fill up as fast or anything, which is a good thing too, because you have your choices when you want to run.
Right. But the crazy thing is now you're watching any TV shows or like Road and Track or whatever, when they do like a car review, they actually talk about the validity of that car in autocross.
Yeah.
So
that's true. That's true, because before they were just testing them in the same manner that we autocrossed. Now I guess autocross is becoming big enough that they mention it.
They actually, now it's actually a thing now.
Yeah.
So that's good. I think it's a good time. I mean, especially, I remember the part of the reason that Ad and I committed to do the podcast was we saw 90 people in the DMV Autocross group, and then a month later it was 1,000.
Yeah.
Or 900 or something. Would go, oh, okay, maybe people will start listening.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope I can at least live up to the content that's needed. As I started to think about things actually today, because you and I were talking, and then Dustin and I were talking, and I started thinking about, man, there's a lot of content out there, but you also have to make sure you don't want to use it all up, because I want to talk to a bunch of different people, but I also want to get the point across quickly and easily, so these people can click a button and watch, and what you've already done, giving them that information as easily as they can get it. And have some fun doing it. So
I think what Ad and I basically, we didn't know that we were going to head down that direction initially. We're trying to keep it brief and keep it concise. And now it's just like, if you want to drive for a long drive, you can kill some time and listen to it.
Yeah.
It's coming that more or less. But.
Well, and I assume a lot of people don't even watch this. In some cases they just listen to it, so, and that's like you said, they can do it in the car or whenever, or when they're, moving around the house or whatever, they can continue to listen to it. So.
Right. And now, speaking of formats and content, I know that you've been talking to Dustin a little bit and discuss what your strategies of what's coming up for next year, right? Mm-hmm. Can you give us a little bit of idea on what you're thinking at this point? What is the podcast going to look like next year? Have you thought about how frequently you're going to do this and how often you plan to release each podcast?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very similar to what you're doing now. I want to continue on that same path that you guys have already structured for, and the same sort of thing. We're gonna touch on regional stuff. We're gonna touch on the weather. We're gonna touch on the national stuff. We're gonna do profiles on people. And we're going to do the novice stuff. I mean, I don't know if you probably recall, but when I started with the SCCA on their committee, I was the worker chief for about a year and a half or 2 years. And there was no novice coordinators back then. And that's when I started doing it. I said, I want to make sure that anybody who enters an event is going to get help right away. And then, so I essentially made myself available for anybody throughout the day. Of course, it was a long day for me until I split those duties up. And then we eventually put people at the gate and meeting people and stuff like that. But anyway, the novice aspect of it is always been critical to me. And I've always enjoyed watching people get in and learn. I don't teach anymore because I'm running the schools, and it's a lot of stuff to take care of, but every once in a while I'll get in the right seat with somebody, and I kind of miss that joy of watching the light bulb go off and watching them improve. Even if it's just a little bit, it makes all the difference. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah. But yeah, so the structure of the show is going to be pretty much the same. I mean, I named the segments there. I mean, it's kind of in that range there. We're going to shoot for 30 to 45 minutes. If it goes longer, great. If not, they get the information a little bit quicker. But I want to make sure that we get a lot of feedback from people. That's another thing too. I actually just engaged, and actually I didn't even ask you before I did this. Do you have an email for the podcast?
No, but what most people do is they have any questions or whatever, they're asking through YouTube.
Right. So I just opened up an email today. It's dmvaxpodcast@gmail.com. So we'll post that on the show and make sure that people can give us feedback, make sure that people can ask questions. I think initially it's just going to be getting those questions and feedback via email, and then we'll work them into the show. But Dustin and I are going to try to, as we get more comfortable with it, we may start trying to do a couple of them live. And we'll see if we can do a streaming one so that we can engage the audience live. I'm not making any promises because that's a little bit more of a pill to swallow. But it's a goal for us to do that, and hopefully as the DMV Autocross Facebook page increases in numbers, so will the podcast. Yeah, and I look forward to just trying to get cool profiles of both drivers and and vendors. I mentioned that to Dustin today that we may want to talk to vendors. And when I say vendors, I mean people that sell products, people that make products. Autocross Chair is a vendor. They're the one in charge of the event, and so the same as you've already done. We'll talk to some chairs about how their events are going and things like that. But I do want to reach out beyond the DMV to bring in information to the DMV, from those vendors and stuff like that, and even drivers that that you and I have known for years, and that can bring a lot to the conversation to new people.
Yeah, I would definitely say one of the things that Ada and I definitely didn't do was we did not go after really, really high profile drivers outside of DMV, right? Or we actually didn't go to the vendor side of things. If we're going to continue, we will definitely do that. We definitely want to talk to Sam or Ryan.
And I just want it's a DMV podcast, but some of the most knowledgeable people in this sport, although we do have a lot of them in this area. I mean, I'd love to get.
No, I think it's definitely time.
Guys like Big Mike Snyder. I don't know if you've talked to him yet, but I mean, he'd be another one. I mean, he's one. Of those ones.
No, I asked Big Mike. He says he's camera shy.
Well, maybe we'll record just a voice one for him because he's got so much
Brian
knowledge.
Brian Carwin is camera shy too.
Yeah, that's true. These are the tough ones.
Yeah, but I would say that's from my.
It's journalism. You got to get the tough interviews, right?
That's right. There are definitely a lot of people that are outside, show up at DMV events, but they don't show up that frequently. I mean, guys like Venevas or guys like Strano and even some other faster guys outside the region.
You got a ton of PA and New Jersey.
Yeah, we never had Peachy on. We haven't even get to Cody even locally, right? Other than the victory party. Yeah. So there are definitely a lot of contents and stuff like that. Yep. So I mean, I'm glad to definitely see we get branching out a little bit more.
We'll try to jump into that, but like I said, I want to and we'll get all that, and then of course the novice meeting at the end, and that's so you'll get to if you're not new, you don't need any of that. Like you designed it, you cut it off. You guys can take off, and we're going to talk to the novices now, and the novices will want to hear everything else as well. So I think that's a great idea, and that we'll continue on that path.
Okay, that's awesome. Without Ada, I can only think of so many things because, with Ada, there's another, 45 minutes.
Is that the end of your questions?
Those are all of my questions because I'm only good for like 3 questions.
Well, I mean, the intro is all you really need. And I look forward to it. And hopefully people will accept me the way they've accepted you and Ata. So, I mean, I'm really excited to do it and get information out there. But I really want to engage with everybody. And quite honestly, especially during the winter, I know I was telling Dustin earlier, I said, come January when we start this, I'm gung ho. We're nonstop. We're gonna crank this out. And I said, but come May, June, when the season's in full swing and my work is as busy as it is, and it'll be one of those things where we're slipping in to crank something out as quick as we can when we can. So.
But that's when most of the materials are free and ready, right? Because during the events, that's what all the materials are. But you're going to run out of time.
Yeah, exactly.
To actually produce. Exactly. But anyway, I mean, like no need to fear. Like Ada and I will always be on the background helping.
Well,
so if there's anything you guys need,
you'll certainly be guests at least a few times over again.
Yeah. I can definitely offer technical help and all of that stuff. So no worries. I mean, since I'm like unemployed anyway. I'm retired. But it's like unemployment.
Early retirement.
I don't know. It all depends on how much these teeth are going to cost.
Oh no.
Because I just got an implant. I got to go back to work.
Oh geez.
It's like so expensive.
Dental stuff is I finally have dental insurance. I've been a freelancer for 30 years and I finally got dental insurance. I never had it until this year.
No, the dental insurance doesn't cover it.
Yeah.
Like I had a procedure yesterday that was $3,500, and I paid $2,100.
Well, I'm hoping.
So I was like, okay, well, I got to go back to work.
And I just spent $500 on my refrigerator today. I've got a refrigerator in my basement that has worked for 25 years with no problems, and my 6-year-old refrigerator just cost me $500 today. So
yeah, that's always how it goes.
Meanwhile, I'm spending money on the car, which that's another whole topic. But the cars.
Well, maybe in the later episodes when you're hosting, I can introduce what I did this winter.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, we're gonna close this segment out because Brian and I just discussed all our top secrets on how to build our race cars for the last 30 minutes. But I ain't gonna show any of that, so you guys gonna have to wait until until the car really happens.
Yeah, we'll,
right?
we'll talk about it on an episode as we're doing it.
Yeah, but seriously, there's an arm race going on in extreme class. So so
we'll be
have
very
to stay tuned
similar,
for that.
except I'll weigh eight or 900 pounds less than you.
That's right. I'm telling you, it's like, I mean, we're cutting all that stuff out because we cannot let our wives hear how much money we spend. Both of us would be divorced. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ryan.
You're welcome.
And then,
Thanks for having me on, Danny. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
to the new year.
All right. And then but in the next episode, our roles will be reversed.
Yep.
All right. Okay, great. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, happy holidays.
This concludes our podcast episode. Everybody's excused except for the novices. Our novice meeting begins now. So for today's novice meeting, we're going to be talking about...
Wait.
Waiting?
Are we going to be talking about why we both dress like Santa Claus?
Well, okay. So it's very cold out right now. When is this episode coming out? Brr, it's freezing outside, Danny, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to be sweating soon because it's like 85 degrees.
No, I thought we were pretending like it's like...
Oh, no, it's the deep winter.
Yeah, because this is episode... What's this, episode 26?
We'll be the big fat riding hood.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Like, no, because I'm guessing this episode is coming out in that Christmas time.
Yeah.
Right?
It's during Christmas time. I'll be in Florida.
Oh my God. We're not recording this when it's 85 degrees out right now because of the heat wave.
That's right.
Are you really going to Florida?
I'm going to Florida. I'm going to be in Miami.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So Jody's going to do all the work and I'm going to go run around. I'm probably going to go learn how to fish.
Oh, fisherman. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Catch us something big. All right.
Yeah.
So
All right.
for today's... I don't even know what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So this is going to be our last novice meeting for 2024, right?
That's correct.
There you go. So there it is. So
we did a whole year of novice meetings.
Well, that's a lot of novice meetings. I actually learned a lot. Not even kidding.
But I don't think that anybody could be. I mean, after this, you guys are no longer novices.
And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
You've been autocrossing now for an entire year. You're no longer a novice. What's next?
I don't know what's next. What do you think? What's next?
Well, I think I have an idea of what's next, and you can confirm or deny. But now that you've been running for a little bit, most likely you've run most of your events with one organization. You've most likely run them with the Mercedes-Benz Club or BMW Club, PCA, one of the two PCA chapters, right? FCCA. You've probably run most of your events, if not all of your events, with one club. So what's the next step, Danny?
The next step is 2 places you have to go. One is you have to attend an SCCA tour event, right?
Yes.
So that's the next logical thing to do, right? And then the second thing is now you have to attend a away from home event, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the best one to attend will be Pocono.
Okay. I'm going to throw a third one in there for you, Danny.
Okay.
Those, both of yours that you said, national event, awesome. Away from home event like Pocono, awesome. 10 out of 10. Those are the top 2. I think you said the top 2.
Yeah.
I also think you're not a novice anymore, so run with the other clubs.
No, that's without saying.
Okay, okay, so that's what I was going to say.
Right.
The first, like, you've been doing this for a minute. Run with everyone that's here. Get out there. Keep driving. Keep spreading your wings or whatever. But
I do think that majority of people, like I've seen this year, they crossed over to different clubs now, which is one of the things that really makes me happy.
Yeah.
Right. Because number one, you're aware that there's other clubs that are running the events, not just one.
Same.
Right. That means that you have joined either the DMV group to know that there's actually other stuff out there.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the most important thing is that the sole reason that we did this is to make people aware that there's a bunch of different clubs out here, and then we report their results or what's coming up or what to expect and so on, so that we're really prepping you to kind of spread your wings and start getting out, right? You're no longer a duckling.
No longer a duckling.
That's right. Now you can fly. So once you can start flying, and now you want to fly to different places and go check things out, and then just to see how other things are going.
I love it.
Right. So that would be the number one thing.
Danny, how would one of these novices find one of these SCCA big events, not the
Okay.
locals, the big ones.
Yeah. So usually in January or sometime in December, if they get their act together, right, you will see the SCCA announce their national events.
Yes.
So basically, what they're going to announce is they're going to announce two types of events. They're going to announce the regular tour events, and they're going to announce a pro solo event.
Yes.
Right. So tour event is just like autocross. You get 3 runs on Saturday. You get 3 runs on Sunday. Your best time on Saturday plus your best time on Sunday together is your fastest time in the class. And the classing is the same as the SCCA classing. So there's no surprises, right? If you're an XA, you're an XA there. If you're in this or whatever. But if you're coming from Mercedes or BMWs or something like that, you're not properly classed, right? Find a mentor or anyone that's been doing SCCA stuff, and they will definitely help you class your car and tell you exactly what class you're in.
Honestly, just post up in the DMV Autocross Facebook group.
Yeah.
Someone will help you immediately.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you can do that. Or you jump into a regular SCCA event, you know exactly what cars you just,
Exactly,
that you're in.
yeah.
Because somebody will tell you.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. Other than that, the pro solo events, though, it's a little bit tricky because you have to launch your car, right? It's a drag race launch. And then
So
you go
awesome.
into then you go to do your autocross and you crossed over and you do drag race launch. There's quite a few things that are going on, right? I said that if you really love this sport, you should go try it, right? Because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And then there's always a preset group of people that are going to go to pro solos, from here. So when you get there, you're going to meet that group of people. People like Jen Fox or Gray Pollock and Marcus Pine and Dustin Grubbs. I mean, those are addicts. Like
I love it.
They're in there now, right? So you always see them. And then if you go to a pro solo, you're going to see a few people that are actually national competitors that they don't normally show up at local events, like John Ventivas or Cody Hunt. Those guys are running at the top of nationals.
Yep.
Right. So they will go to these events. And then now you can see, hey, I've never seen them at a DMV before in the local races, but they're actually some of the fastest people that coming out of this area.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you get to see them, right? So basically, you check the SCCA website to see these type of races. Then there's some other stuff like Porsche had their annual convention events that they gathered together, right? I think this year this year is in Oklahoma City.
Oh, really?
That might be a little too far. I know a couple of years ago, it was in Pocono, which is easy to get to. And this year, I think it's at Barber in Birmingham, Alabama, which is
that's
a
awesome.
11, 12-hour drive. But that's already done anyway.
So sick.
So you can do that. And then, of course, if you really want to kind of test other stuff out, the closest one to here is all the events that are being run by UMI. So UMI has nowadays 4 or 5 big events now. They have this Muscle on the Mountain, King of the Mountain.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. They look a lot of fun.
Yeah, the King of the Mountain, you need to be qualified and invite. But rest of the event, you can just register and get in. And if you do well, you get invited to King of the Mountain. And then the winner,
Autocross Week is the big one, right? For autocrossers?
Yeah, there's Autocross Week, right? That's usually sponsored by Optima Battery or Summit Racing or whatever. There's Autocross Week. People like John Williman and Aaron Shue, they would do that. Yeah, they would go there. So you run into them there. Or you can go crazy and go to do the Optima, challenges. Or there's, Ford Fest, Chevy Fest, and Dodge Fest, right? And those are the ones that Sam Strano went in and he won the Ford Fest this year. And last year, Justin Peachy won all 3 of them.
So cool.
Yeah. So, but that would require a little bit of a driving, and then you have to kind of get out there a little bit. That's what's next, really. You're no longer a novice. You have done well in your, what the clubs that you're running or several clubs that you're running. And now if you want to, you got your wings, you want to expand, go out and try some of those stuff. Because then you'll see another world.
Yes. And that world is addicting.
Yeah. You'll see another world. I mean, then there are definitely people out there that are extremely fast, right?
Yep.
And you thought that a few people here are fast until you see them and go, oh, they're not that fast. Yeah. It's like, Danny Kao, that's mid-pack. I kept on telling people that like some of the places I go, I'm just mid-pack. And they'll go, yeah, sure. Yeah, right.
Oh, my goodness.
And then until they head out, they go, oh, my God. Where are they from?
That's so funny.
It's another world. So anybody who you think is fast locally, and then you go to those places and you go, oh, maybe we're not that fast. Yeah, you'll see some drastic, amazing people that are out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, so what else is next, right? And obviously, we talked about in our last episode, it's probably a time for you to determine what classing you're going to be running. That you want to be familiar with all your classes. Maybe it's time to give it a real shot at try to compete in your class for the whole season for the club, right? Yeah. I know that Mercedes doesn't really have that. Mercedes, you're basically running from FTDs, right?
Still awesome.
Yeah. PCA, you do. The only disadvantage with PCA is if you're in a guest class, you win guest class, you get nothing. Right. That's awesome. But PCA Potomac, if you have a Porsche, you can run in their either modified or improve or stock or or I think what's prepared, right? They have 4 classes. They have stock, prepared, improve, and modified, right? So you can run in those. If you run a whole season of that, you can at the end of the year you get trophies from winning that. Right. And then W also has those events. I don't know if they're like that formal nowadays. I remember back in the day that, Fraser and then AJ, when they're running that kind of stuff, you can run a whole season. And then at the end, they give you a little tiny rubber cone if you finish, top 3 or something.
That's cool. Yeah.
Right. And then also when you go to BMC, I think BMC is coming back and give you, trophies at the end of the event now. Right. Go win the class.
Go win.
Go win something. Go win a cup. Go win a glass. Right.
Go win it.
Go win a tiny trophy, right? And SCCA now, if you're on local SCCA, they still give out jackets, right?
That's so cool.
So go ahead and keep track of it. You want to make sure that your class, SCCA anyway, you want to make sure you have 2 or 3 people competing. Because if it's just 1 or 2 people competing, you don't win anything, right? Yep. So you get into a class that you have 2 or 3 people and then test yourself, right? And then obviously participation counts a lot. Because if they have 7 events, they're going to have 2 drops. So you need 5 events. But if you attend all 7 events, the chances are some of the guys are not going to be at all 7 events. Right. So if you persist and then you keep on doing it and you keep on finishing well, 3rd and 2nd place, who knows? You might be the winner at the end of the season.
Put in the work, yeah.
Right. And then you get this fun jacket that says SCCA Washington DC region on the back, and a lot of people are very proud to wear that stuff, right?
And you can change your profile on Facebook to say you're the local champ for your class. Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying there's things you can do.
That's really what's next after the whole year when you think about it, right? Yep. You can have a goal to say, okay, here I want to finish. I know Alan's goal this year, believe it or not, was he wants to be undefeated.
That's awesome.
In a class, which he did, which is great.
Yep.
Right. So these are kind of things that it's really what's coming up next for competition wise. Go out, try a few different organizations, go out and do some big races just to see how big the world is. Right.
Yep.
And then here, set up realistic goals and say, hey, I want to finish 3rd or 2nd or even win in the prospective class. Right. It's going to be hard if you run in a G Street car and try to be Dustin Grubbs. Right.
Well, maybe he doesn't show up. You never know.
Well, he could be buying a different car, right?
He could be buying a different. Yeah, he could be prepping for XA.
That's right. And now H Street, you can see Daniel McFarland going out, and now he's in A Street, or Super A Street with a Cayman GTS now, right?
You never know.
So a spot just opened up, right? Things like that. And then, or you can STR is not making any changes, so chances are Marcus Pine's still going to dominate in the front. Right. But XA is going to be wild, right?
Oh, what about Al? Maybe Al switches from his GTI to a Jetta and stays in the same class. So never mind, actually. Let's keep going. Let's move on.
He's going to change it to an ID Buzz.
ID Buzz. Oh, they're so cute.
Right. So those are from the competition aspect of things, right?
Yeah.
And next year, in the beginning of the season, there are autocross schools again. You don't have to go to a novice school anymore, but you could probably go to SCCA level 2 school, or if the Evolution Performance School start offering classes, you probably should go, right?
And then PCA has school as well.
PCA have schools, yeah. I mean, but those are novice schools, right? It doesn't hurt to go back and try again to get some seat time, right? And now the SCC has the test and tunes now. You can go in and then kind of try to perfect yourself and then keep on doing test and tunes, right? Yep. So that's another step that you could do, right?
That's true.
And other than that, this is a good time. I know, and again, in the last episode, we talk about cars, right? Now it's the time to kind of see if you can optimize your car.
Yes.
Right. So if you're running like a BC coilover, with the wrong spring rates and stuff like that in your car, and then you're complaining you don't like the rides and stuff, well, now it's probably a time to go, talk to Carceps or talk to Strano Parts. And, if you want to get Penske's, talk to Strano. If you want to get Carcep, you want to get MCS, you talk to Carceps, right?
There you go.
So, and then, get the right spring rates.
And when you say talk, you mean send an email. Please don't call.
Yeah. I mean, you could send an email, or you can call the shop, or send inquiries and stuff like that. It doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah.
Just make
I'm
sure
just saying
that
Ryan's not going to pick up. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but the thing is, too, you're really honest. I mean, we're in this game for quite some time, and we know the idiosyncrasies and how difficult it is to be a self-employed small shop, right?
Yeah, of course.
Don't call somebody and waste their time and ask a bunch of questions, right? That's something that you can ask your mentor.
There you go.
You know
ask your mentor,
right? Because the thing is that the shop owners or business owners, they're to cater to everybody else's stuff, right? Yep. And then they have to buy, they have to order, they have to build, they have to do all that stuff.
They're busy.
Yeah, you call them up and you take 3 hours to the question and say, okay, I find a better price elsewhere, and you go somewhere else.
You call up Strano, right? He gives you everything you want, all the info you need. You go do something else wrong, then you come back to Strano 6 months later.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Just listen to the man the first time.
Yeah, exactly. But
unbelievable.
But a lot of times it's not in a good form that he tells you, hey, this is what you need to get, and you go find somewhere else to say $5.
It's not good form. It's the worst. You got to say
the worst form you can get.
Yeah. You got to say thank you. This is an expert we're talking about, and I've never seen it happen like.
And you got to remember, this is also a very tight knit group,
right?
You do stuff like that one time, everybody knows, man. So why don't put yourself in those positions, right?
I hate it.
Like some of the things that you really have to think about. What's next? You're no longer a novice. You got to think about the stuff you do. Don't go on and post some jackassery stuff that you did on track or something like that and say, hey, I scared the shit out of my instructor, and expect that people are going to respect you later.
No respect.
Don't do that, right?
This is the last episode of the year. Let's hit him with the real. Let's hit him with the real right now.
Exactly.
Cut the shit out, people. Cut that shit out. Okay.
Right.
No one wants to see, dangerous moment on track. Almost hit the wall. Almost got kicked out of track X or track Y. Shut up.
Don't do that.
Shut
right.
up.
Why do you do that? Right. I mean,
why do you do it in the first place?
It doesn't show that you're a good driver, first of all. And number two, people make people think you're reckless, right?
Correct. And then I have family. I don't want to ride with you.
Not
if you're
running with
drive
you
like a jackass.
if you do stuff like that, right?
Like,
so
I don't know.
Think before you post.
Or maybe just don't post.
That's right.
Maybe just don't post.
Yeah,
if you have to think about it, and you're like,
right? Because you're not setting good examples for anyone, right?
Right. And we're not talking about like a little blooper reel from a local autocross, right? That's fine. It's whatever. Like, you got a little sideways. Like, right. No, I mean,
I'm
these talking about the stupid videos.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm talking, Danny, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know. And then the thing is like, it's really, really bad form if somebody hit a wall or something that went wrong or hit a pole.
Post a video of someone else.
Don't post videos of somebody else's things, right? I mean, you're laughing at somebody else's misery,
Forbid something bad happens on track, right?
Yeah.
Or at an autocross. Mistakes happen. Okay.
Yes.
It's much more rare at an autocross, but I've seen it maybe 5 to 10 incidences at an autocross.
I personally have seen more 10, 15 incidents.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where hearts are broken. Right.
Yes.
I'm talking about
or people with concussions or
concussion. They hit a curb. There's oil everywhere because the oil pan ripped out. Maybe they hit a pole because there was a pole. Like there's a lot of things that can happen. Okay.
Yeah.
We hope that they don't, but they do happen. All right.
Yes.
Use some common effing sense. Don't take a picture of it. Don't post a picture of it.
Don't post a picture.
Act classy. Even if you're trashy as hell, act classy for 5 minutes of your damn life. All right. Say you're at the track, they hit a tire, you said tire wall. What if the car catches on fire, right? Fuel line, anything can happen, right?
Yep.
If you take a picture to show your wife, that's one thing, right? Or your husband, whatever. But if you take a picture and you post that shit online, people won't forget.
That's correct.
People won't forget. Like that's how you make enemies, not friends. Yeah. And you don't even know you made enemies because you thought it was cool.
After 1 year, you no longer a novice, right? So these are the things that you have to know.
This is a real novice meeting. This is a real novice.
Yeah. Right? Don't F around, man.
Well, don't F around. What are you doing? Yeah. There's a couple hundred of us in the DC, DMV, Baltimore, Virginia, Maryland area. Okay.
Right.
That's not a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot,
I know.
But it's not a lot. We know each other.
Yeah.
And if you don't know me and I don't know you, we know someone that knows each other. Danny knows someone that knows someone that knows you.
Yes.
I know. Like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. Don't do it.
Just don't do it. Like, think for a freaking minute.
Right.
I'm sorry. I feel like I've derailed a little.
Don't take your, 2,000-3,000 pound car and then make mistakes on thinking that that's not dangerous, right? Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people think that we're making circles at 35 miles an hour. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. Right?
Oh, it's a big deal.
Any 35-mile hit to an object or a person
Mhm.
could be that's career ending for most people,
Mhm.
right?
And you say 35 miles an hour. I saw a car hit a curb. I won't say where. I won't say anything. Much faster than that.
Yeah.
Much, much faster than that. And it was messed up,
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah.
30, you're saying 35? Have you ever hit 70 at an autocross? I know you have,
Right.
right? Like I'm just saying.
I know we don't talk about it, but
No, we don't.
last year there were 2 people lost their lives in an autocross event.
We don't talk about it, but
We don't really talk about it. But
It
I do want everybody else to know that now you have done a full year of this.
Yep.
Maybe you've seen all fun and games and glory stuff, right?
Sure.
But
Sure.
this is still a very, very dangerous
Yeah.
sport.
Yeah.
It's
You're
not
behind a weapon. A car can be a
That's
deadly
right.
weapon.
It's
man.
not as
Like-
dangerous as the F1 back in the 1950s, right? Or the 60s or 70s or 80s or 90s, right?
Okay,
But-
no, it's not F1 levels of dangerous, but it's not as safe as.
That's right. That's right.
I mean,
We
hell,
still,
Danny,
in the last
you gotta
20
wear a
years, we
helmet.
still see 15, 20 incidents at the autocross.
Mhm.
And I've seen hundreds of incidents in my last 10 years on track.
Oh, oh my,
Yeah.
Danny, every
week.
day,
Yeah.
every week.
So
Oh,
the thing
man.
is be
Yeah.
very conscious of what you're doing out there.
Be safe.
Be safe. And it's not a, only you can make it safe, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So just
With
like
your
you,
actions,
only you,
with your thoughts. Yep.
only you can prevent forest fire.
Oh my. Okay, Smokey. All right. What was it last time we were talking about Mr. Miyagi? Now you're Smokey the Bear.
Yeah, that's how I'm smoking a bear. Only you can prevent forest fire.
Oh my god.
Well, so that's kind of what you do after a year of autocrossing. You want to
Yeah.
expand your wings. You want to kind of get out, but then also you have to, I know we went on to a sort of a rant on something like
Yeah.
this,
Sorry about
right?
that.
Yeah, but it's good because now we can comfortably tell you what some of the consequences and stuff like that. Where I know that we're not scaring you off anymore.
No, because you've already done
Right.
it.
You already did it for a whole year, so you know the game. If you haven't seen it, bad thing can happen, good thing can happen. You still need to treat it with a lot of respect, right? And that's just autocrossing. And if you ever get crossed over to get on track or go start doing track crosses and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
Then the danger increases, right?
Mhm.
But you can still safely to do all of the stuff that you're doing by constantly maintain your car, understand what you have, bring the best equipment, have a plan, try, get ahead of things.
Yep.
Don't get surprised. Don't bomb way into a corner on a track where you have no idea what's on the other side of the track.
Oops.
Yeah. I've seen that, Then it turns into a pinball and into a pile of, junk metal. Okay.
Oh my
That's what's going to
God.
happen.
Heartbreak.
Right. So as you progress out of the novice and autocross, a lot of people, as they progress more and more and more, now they had learned the car control. Now they move on to the next thing. I have friends who are doing wheel to wheel. Our friend Adam is doing the American Endurance race series, right? He's racing that whole series with his Mustang. He's an autocrosser.
That's awesome.
Right? Randy Popes is an autocrosser, right? We have plenty, or your neighbor is an autocrosser, right? And then it turns out to be an awesome race car driver, right? So these kind of things, you're done with your novice.
You're talking about Jeff, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Altenberg. So now you're done with your novice year, right?
Yep.
Now you're approaching the next to year number 2, right? So now you can't cherry pick against novice, right? Because you got some experience in your head. But these are kind of things that you also have to be aware. You can have a safe, awesome 2025. Yeah, for all of your races and stuff.
Happy New Year.
All right. Happy New Year. Yeah. All right. So what do you think, Ada? This is our last novice meeting, so we can go ahead and wrap it up.
I love it.
Right?
I love it.
So thank you for joining us for all of those novice meetings. And this is novice meeting, actually 26th episode, but 25 novice meetings, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
25 novice meetings.
So you guys are no longer a novice. You've gone through the whole year, and we want to thank you for spending all this time with us and listen to us constant rambling on different things. Personally, I want to thank you for listening to all the novice meetings. Hopefully we gave you some information that you can take it with you. Hopefully that you have a fun, awesome, and safe 2025 season.
Yep. And I'd like to thank you, Danny. No one knows how much time you've put into this. I do. And I just wanted to thank you in front of all of our viewers and listeners that I really appreciate everything you've done. And I know they do too.
Yeah.
So-
So, but I would say whatever the effort I put in, that was probably enough effort to buy 3 new cars. So I'd like to thank you all for saving me money.
Oh, right. Because you were doing something other than shopping for cars. Got it. Okay, understood.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Jody.
Somebody like Brian Carwin would say, "Oh my God, that's so much money that I could have made off this guy because of this stupid thing." No, you do it.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
All right,
So
Anna,
good.
let's wrap it up.
All right, let's wrap it up.
So thank you again for watching our episode number 25. And we hope you learn a lot of different things and hope you find that information accurate, informative, and fun.
And don't forget to join us for the next episode. And until then, keep those tires on the track and that wing in the back.
Zebulon wings.
Zebulon, huge.
All right. Well, I'll debut it next year.
Awesome.
All right.
It's been a great year, man. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. See you guys.
All right. See ya. Peace.